Alright guys, what is going on? I just jumped out of the shower, as you can probably see, and I checked my mail because my Nest camera told me someone had been at the front of the house. So I ran out there, checked the mail, and lo and behold, I got something cool to show you guys here today. I'm kind of bummed out that there's sticky stuff all over the front of it, but this is the Gamesir X2, and a lot of you said, Shane, you have to test this thing out. You got to take a look at it because I've already tested the Wii 2T by FlyDigi, which is, it's serviceable, it's cheap, but it's a little flexy, it's not great. And then, of course, I tested the MGX by Nacom, and I absolutely adore this thing. It is super sturdy, super robust feeling, and it works fantastically either with a Z Fold, a Surface Duo, what have you. But like I said, everybody said, no, you've got to test out the Gamesir. That's the one that a lot of you are using, a lot of you are curious about. So I sent an email to Gamesir, to their press contact, and they were kind enough to agree to send this thing out for me to test. So here we have it. We're going to do the unboxing right here, right now, and I'm going to give you my quick impressions of how well this thing works, and of course how it compares to the really robust, really nice MGX there by Nacom. So the box here is in a little bit rough shape, but you know, we're not going to judge a book by its cover, so to speak. We're going to kind of dig a bit deeper. Minimize delay, wired connection, born for esports. I believe this is the Bluetooth version. And I actually requested the Bluetooth version just simply because I know that some people are like, well, it's got more latency because it's wireless. Well, I don't perceive any latency with this one or with even the FlyDigi one, and having no a USB-C plug makes it just more universal, so to speak. So that's what we're going to go with here. Classic AVXY, Bluetooth connection for iOS and Android, micro switch buttons, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there's not a whole lot on the box here. So let's just go ahead and get into this thing. Let's open it up and see what we have. So first off, it has a carrying case. So that's really cool. There's literally nothing else in the box. We're going to throw that over the shoulder. It's got a carrying case. And this actually feels pretty solid. I'm actually pretty pleased with that. And let's open the thing up, and there you go. There's the whole package there inside. I guess one thing I should do really quickly, because I'm already pretty pleasantly surprised with how nice this thing feels, is I should talk about what it costs. Because this Nacom one, if I'm not mistaken, the one I tested earlier, go away coupon, thank you. Yeah, this one was $79. Well, this one's only $59, and it's, like I said a minute ago, it's got a carrying case with, oops, just right-clicked on something. So you're talking about $20 cheaper, and I'm already feeling pretty happy about this so far. So there's actually a band here to hold it in place. So let's see if we can get this thing out of here. Let's slide her on out, and let's see what's in the accessories here first. I'm guessing probably like a USB-C cable or something like that to charge with, maybe some instructions. We've got some little silicone pads to put over the thumbsticks for some added grip. That's a nice touch there. We have, of course, a USB-C cable to charge with, and then we have some instructions. We also have a sticker, right? You want to rep the Gamesir brand, you know, that's something you could definitely do. Is there something else in here? Is this like a warranty? Okay, so instructions, sticker, thumb pad, C cable, plenty of good stuff in there, but let's see, how does this thing itself actually feel? So in terms of weight, I believe it is lighter than the MGX. It is also a rubberized back here. Got something stuck to it. It is rubberized as well, so that's good to hold on to whatever you're using. The D-pad is very clicky. That is a better D-pad than what is on. Let me get rid of this real quick just so that I have more room here. That is a better D-pad than what is on the MGX. Just straight up, it is. See if you can hear this. Nice and clicky. The Nacom is a little bit mushy. It's a little bit wobbly. What about the face buttons? Similar, less effort, a lot less key travel and a lot less effort to click the button. That's going to be a point of preference. How about the sticks? The sticks are way better. The sticks are better here. I don't know how accurate they're going to feel. I'm going to need to test that, but the travel distance is way further. Way further compared to this. That is night and day. So that might be much better for shooters. shoulder buttons and triggers are both very clicky, whereas on the Nacom we're clicky, but then on this one we have sort of resistance all the way down and then no click. It just sort of bottoms out. Looks like we have probably a pairing button and then USB-C there. How is the force of open and closing? It's fine. It's better than the FlyDigi. It's a lot less than the Nacom, but it is fine. We're going to weigh these things because I feel like this one is heavier. So in grams, 204 grams versus 173. So that, if that is something that is a consideration for you, then the Gamesir is going to be your winner. Let's look now at actually popping the Surface Duo 2 into this thing and see what we have. So one thing about the Nacom that I want to see if is better on the Gamesir is that it is so stiff, and these thumbsticks actually will pop off. I will demonstrate this. You see how easy that just popped out? Now the good news is you can pop them literally right back in, but something that I've dealt with is when I'm trying to like put this thing in here, it's so stiff that sometimes it'll slide out and pop the thumbstick off, or when I'm trying to take it out, the same will happen. So I've taken to putting it in and taking it out by laying it on the table, and by doing this, it works really well, and that's fine. And it is, man, it is in there. And you can see here, I've done a whole video on this thing, so I will link to that in the description, a video on this and on the Z Fold. But you can see how good that looks and how proper. It just looks like it was made for it. But that is something that I want to see if it's any easier here with the Nacom, I'm sorry, with the Gamesir. So there's no lip on the Gamesir as well. Notice there's a lip here that you kind of have to be above. On here, there is no such lip. So we're just going to kind of set it in there. We're going to pull it apart. We're going to drop it in. So the fact that it has a lot less resistance did in fact make that quite a bit easier, and it is lighter overall. Now here's one thing. This is a deeper trench for the phone to sit in. So it's actually holding on to the Duo and not wanting to let it open. That is something you're going to have to kind of think about too. How does that look? I think it looks quite fine. I think that looks relatively good. How about the stiffness? Does it feel quite as sturdy? There is some wobble. Can you hear that? So there is a little bit of wobble there with Surface Duo. Let's compare quickly with the Z Fold. Obviously, if you're using a more normal phone, you're probably going to have fewer weird issues, but I'm testing it on weird phones because that's what I use. So with the Fold, how does that look in there? It looks quite large and in charge. Any kind of wobbling here? No, it feels quite stiff and pretty solid. Now, because this is a deeper trench for the phone to set in, I want to test one thing very quickly. So with this one, I was only able to put it in with the screen being there. I wasn't able to get it over that. So let's see if that is the case here. We're going to pull this out and let's see if it can actually hold it in over the kickstand and all that stuff. And it feels like it can. And that's actually quite stiff and feels pretty decent. You can see the gap that is in there because of that, but I think you could totally use it that way if you wanted to. So I guess now what we need to do is we need to actually test the thing out with some games. There are actually 4 buttons here, and I need to figure out what each one of these do. I'm assuming start select, but then I don't know what these actually do. I guess the instructions would be a good place to go for that. I'm gonna jump into pairing on my Duo here. Let's pair a new device. I'm gonna hold the button down here at the bottom. Let's see if that is our pairing. So we just powered on and we're blinking, and Gamesir is there. I guessed right. We are now paired. Let's find out what these buttons do. Okay, so this one here is apparently a screenshot button. Yes, it absolutely is. And this one here is a turbo button, which you could use in some old retro games, potentially fighting games and things like that, where you might want to have a turbo button to use. Okay, so I don't usually play shooters with controllers at all, but I downloaded a shooter just to be able to test it because the sticks are so much bigger than on the Nacom. And I gotta tell you, this is not too bad. Like I feel like I'm you know, about as accurate as I ever am on a controller trying to play a first-person shooter. I mean, it's quite responsive. You know, I've heard people say that they were having some latency issues. I'm just not having those sorts of issues with a Bluetooth like this. Now, I do think that one thing I need to do here is I need to get a comparison with the Nacom device. So let's pop this one off. An important thing there with Duo is that it doesn't want to close all the way. You're going to have to give it some extra pressure, maybe even still not going to want to close because of how deep it is. And let's attach now. Hopefully it will just wake up and pair to it and it isn't going to be confused that there's two controllers, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, so with the Nacom, the MGX on there, how does this feel? I'll tell you this, it is very responsive, right? Just the same, but the actual act of aiming around, I think, is more difficult because the sticks are, in fact, smaller. Just looking around and aiming with smaller sticks is going to be more difficult. I also think that I like the triggers better on the Gamesir. Now, there's some stuff that I like better about this one. I think that just in general, this controller feels a bit more premium. The D-pad is kind of a give and take. It's going to depend on your preference. The sticks are better on the Gamesir. The overall feels better here. And I think the face buttons, I like the face buttons better here as well. But we're talking about a $20 difference here. And I think that $20 difference makes this thing very competitive. So I think it's going to come down, for me, to two things as far as which one I would recommend. So number one is, are you playing first-person shooters on this controller? Is that something you're going to want to be doing? If it is, get the Gamesir. This is going to be better for first-person shooters. If you're playing other things, if you're playing things that aren't first-person shooters, that's not as big of a consideration to you, and you're more concerned with how does the thing actually feel in the hand? Which one feels more premium? You're going to want to go with the MGX. Just, to me, hands down, the MGX just feels better. But again, for $20 cheaper, this thing is rock solid. Bigger sticks, better triggers, and a screenshot button. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't show you a couple things quickly here to close this thing out. This is Duo 2 folded over in phone mode, and it does much like the MGX. It fits in there just fine. And if you wanted to do Game Pass streaming and you wanted to know, does that work right out of the box? Yes, it absolutely does work out of the box. And if, again, this is something that you want to have the longer sticks with, you want to be able to have those that additional accuracy, the smoothness with these sticks, that's going to work just fine on shooters on Xbox Game Pass. Now, one thing you're missing out on, I believe, you've got your start, you've got your select, you've got a screenshot button, and you've got a turbo button. So the MGX does in fact have an Xbox button that does the exact function an Xbox button would do. You do not have that here. And of course we have to test Moonlight, which is a streaming service that I use to stream games that are on my computer, on my PC, over to a mobile device like this. And we do need to confirm if the buttons do work straight out of the box on this, and it appears that they in fact do. If this will let me quickly log in here so that I can demonstrate this. Basically, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you are able to do this. And as a result of doing this locally from your own computer with that NVIDIA graphics card's encoder, is that you have a great deal less latency over the stream. And of course, yes, Moonlight is working just fine, and the buttons are behaving exactly as I would expect them to, exactly as I would hope that they would. So Game Pass, Moonlight, pretty much any game you're going to want to play on this thing is going to be totally fine. So there you go. If you're looking for a mobile game controller for your Duo, for your Fold, or just a regular mobile phone, there's a couple of great options out there for you. The Gamesir for $59, that's a really good place to be. Really, really solid controller. And if you want that extra premium feel, well, the MGX is out there for $20 more, but I really don't think you're going to go wrong either way. I'm going to have links to both in the description and in the pinned comments. Thanks again to Gamesir for sending the controller out to me to test. Thanks to all of you who suggested that I do so. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friend.